Hi everyone, my name is Sarah Mari. I'm one of the librarians at Portland Public Library, and for our how-to today, we're going to learn how to read a picture book out loud. So a lot of you have probably been practicing your reading by reading to family members or friends or pets or your parents or anything like that, your stuffed animals maybe. But you might be wondering how it is that librarians read their books out loud when you come to our story times, and why that might not sound exactly the same as when you do it at home or when other people that you know do it at home. So I'm going to just give you a few pointers, and then after this, if you'd like, you'll be able to watch me read the same book that I'm showing you and see how did I do following my pointers. Now, the first piece of advice I have isn't always going to work for everyone, and that's because it's about how to hold your book. But holding your book changes depending on who you're reading it with. So if I'm reading to someone who's sitting right beside me, like just my parent or my friend or my stuffed animal, I'm probably going to hold the book sort of the way that I usually do, right? Just kind of in front of me, because if they're sitting right next to me, they can see the pictures. But where you're sitting watching this video, you can't see what's on the pictures of this page. So in order to do that, I have to hold it in a way that I can turn it around and show you what's going on. So the way that you do that is you have your thumb on one side of the pages. You can see the spine of the book right here, and my pinky's on the other. And then on the other side, you can see that I have my middle three fingers kind of spread out over the cover, holding it up. This makes it really easy because then I can turn the page by like tucking my thumb out of the way and then lifting my pinky up over it. So that can take a little practice to get it really smooth, but that is how you hold a book, to show everyone the pictures while you're reading. And then I just kind of like lean around the edge to look at the words. Okay, so you figured out how you're gonna hold it. What's the next advice? The next advice is you want to read the book before you get ready to read it out loud. There's a lot of reasons for this. The first reason is so that if there are any words that kind of stumble you up, you can figure them out before you get started. Even grown-ups run across words that either they're not expecting or they aren't quite sure what they mean and they'll stumble over them. But if you have practiced beforehand, it makes it a lot easier to read the book smoothly and clearly. So you want to read it first. Another reason why you might want to read it first is so that you can understand the story and know where to put the expression in your voice. Because that's my second tip for you, is about expression in your voice. So if we kind of peek ahead, we can see like this character right here is smiling. So if I read her line, "Wow, my kid is an artist," and I said it, "Wow, my kid is an artist," it doesn't sound very interesting. But if I say, "Wow, my kid is an artist," I know that that's the way that that line should be said because I've already read the book and I know how it goes. The other thing is to take your time. Sometimes, especially if you're a really great reader and your brain is just going, when you see a lot of words like on this page, you can cruise right through them. She said, "I'm trying to draw on the paper, but I'm not going to draw on the walls and I'm not going to draw on the floor and I'm not going to..." It kind of runs together and it doesn't make a lot of sense and it doesn't sound as interesting for the person who's listening. So you have to slow it down. She said, "I'm tired of drawing on the paper, but I'm not going to draw on the walls and I'm not going to draw on the floor." You can see that it sounds more interesting and it's easier to understand because I slowed down. All right, so figure out how you're going to hold the book, read it before you go, and then make sure that you're slowing down when you read. Even if you sound a little slow to yourself, it will probably sound great to the person who's reading it to you. The other piece of advice I kind of talked about a little bit before when I said you want to read it first to make sure that you get expression, is to actually add that expression. If someone is bored, make them sound so bored. If someone is happy, make them sound just like so happy. And if they're sad, let them sound sad. It won't sound silly when you're reading it. It will sound interesting. I'm sure that you like it when the people that you read put lots of expression in their voice. So think about, how does it sound when someone is happy? How does it sound when someone is sad? And then try to change your voice to match those. If you have a book that has lots of interesting characters in it, like books where there are tiny squeaky little mice or big bears, you can also change how your voice is sounding, high or low. That's called the pitch of your voice. So you can make it go really tiny, teeny, teeny for little characters, or very young characters, or very shy characters. And you can make it go big and low for giants and bears and dragons and fierce things like that. So there's lots of ways to change up your voice to match the characters. So then my last piece of advice for you, if you're reading books to people, is to pick books that you really like. Because if you really like the book, then you'll read it really well, and the person that you're reading to will like it too. Actually, I have one more piece of advice, but we're going to get to that after I review everything I've said so far. So there's different ways to hold it. You can hold it sort of regular if you have someone sitting right next to you, or thumb, finger, 3 fingers behind. If you're reading to someone who is, sitting like a group of people that you need to show the pictures to. Read the book first so that you can find any difficult words, so you can understand where the story is going and what different people are saying or what they're feeling. To read slower than you think you need to, and to put lots of expression in. And you can do that by making your voice sound like the different emotion that the characters are going through, or by changing the way that you're talking if you have different characters who talk differently. My final piece of, and to pick a book that you really like. My final piece of advice is to just practice. If you read the first time and it kind of feels weird, that's just because it's a brand new skill. The very first time that you hold a pen, it feels weird. The very first time that you get on a bike, it feels weird. But the more you practice, the better you get. And the same goes for reading out loud. When you see librarians and you think, wow, they're really good at reading those books out loud. Just like when you see Carrie or Cindy or Michelle or Mary reading to you, the reason why they're so good at reading those books is because they practice all the time. How many books do you think that they have read? It's probably a lot, right? So practice really does help. And I'm sure that there are a lot of people in your life that would love to hear you read. Now, if you want to see how I can take all of these things that I've said and apply it to this book, then there will be a link in the card, and there will be a link in the description below that will link you to the video where I do actually read this book. So you can see I've practiced a lot of times because I love this book and I've read it before. I'm going to do some emotions with my voice. I'm going to hold it the way that I showed you with your thumb and your pinky and your 3 fingers behind. And I'm going to go nice and slow so that you can understand. And obviously, I've practiced because you've seen me read a lot of these books on this channel. Thanks for joining me for this Thursday. We'll see you again soon. And I hope to see you at the video next where I read Purple, Green, and Yellow by Robert Munsch, illustrated by Helene Disputo. Thank you for joining me. Once again, my name is Sarah Mari. I'm one of the librarians at Portland Public Library in Portland, Maine. Bye.